Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wind Down Wednesday, episode 34. So my brief announcement for tonight is that my pain release kirtan is now available. You can get it on any of the streaming services, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, and it's also available on my website to download, which is paulataylorenergy.com. I wrote that kirtan specifically for a physical pain release event that I was a part of last month. And the vibration of both the words and the music of that kirtan are designed to bring you back into physical ease, to release discomfort and pain from the body. You can sing along with the kirtan, which is the most powerful way to practice it. It's a call and response. Or you can just play it and let that vibration come into your field and bring you into ease. So I encourage you to check it out if you have not already. Okay, this has been a few weeks of tough wind down Wednesdays, and this is going to be a very gentle meditation tonight, but the talking part might be tough for me again, so just bear with me. I say this a lot, and I realized after last week that I wanted to go into a little more depth about asking for help. And then that led me into this idea of opening to receive. So we're going to talk about both those things tonight. So when I say ask for help when you need it, there's a couple different ways you can do that. You can do that spiritually, which is something that I tend to do quite often. And I told a story about that last week, how I had kind of reached the end of my spiritual tools and I asked for help on the spiritual plane. And then I received this information and this vision and this beautiful meditation that came to me. So that's one way you can ask for help. You can ask for help in the spiritual plane. You can ask your guides, you can ask your people who have passed on that you feel are still here to support you, animals as well do this work, and you can ask directly to that source, to that divine source of energy that we're always inviting in. You can also ask for help on the physical plane, and that's what I want to talk a little bit more about. So sometimes I'll say ask for help if you need it, and I'll say something like reach out to a friend, reach out to a coach, reach out to a mental health professional. And there's a lot of layers in there of help that you can reach out to. There's the casual help of a friend. There's the more professional help you can get from someone like a coach or an energy worker. And then there's mental health. And that's what we're going to talk a little bit about tonight. I'm already getting uncomfortable. So I realized as I was writing my notes for tonight, which I put off till the last minute, by the way, I realized that I've been challenging a lot of stigmas recently, stigmas that I myself have held, but stigmas that I also see that are held in society, whether it's in this spiritual community that I'm a part of, whether it's in society at large or both. Last week we talked about shadow work, about acknowledging darkness. And it's really funny. I saw this morning, I think it was this morning or yesterday, Brene Brown posted something on Instagram about toxic positivity. And that's essentially what I called out last week. This idea that everything's so beautiful all the time and appreciate what you have. And of course there's something to that, but we talked a lot last week about the value of darkness and the importance of facing your shadow and making friends with your shadow, befriending your shadow. And then I posted something about infertility and miscarriage. And that's a stigma that I've been wanting to challenge for a while. It still makes me nervous. Every time I talk about it, it makes me uncomfortable. It makes other people uncomfortable. I know that. But I know that that's important. When something makes you uncomfortable and you get really fearful about it, that's usually a sign that you're on the right track. So that's another way that I'm challenging stigmas, this idea that we have to hide our miscarriages, that we can't talk about them, that it's not okay to be not okay when you have one. And I see some celebrities coming forward about that, and that's been fantastic. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about mental health. There's a lot of stigma still around mental health. And so sometimes Asking for help means reaching out to a mental health professional. That might be a psychologist, a counselor, a psychiatrist. And what I briefly want to mention specifically in terms of stigma is the idea of pharmaceuticals for mental health, because I feel like there is kind of this belief in the spiritual community, the new age community, the alternative health community, that we should be doing everything naturally, like using diet, exercise, lifestyle, supplements, maybe sometimes. And my response to that is do what works for you right now. If you need to take a drug, take a drug. If you're a type 1 insulin dependent diabetic, you will die without your insulin. So you're going to take your insulin, which unfortunately is so expensive that some people have actually died. So if you need to take a drug, take a drug. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. I'm actually getting hot because I'm so passionate about this. So I've talked a lot about, I have a history of disordered eating, of eating in a disordered way. So if I go to someone and they say to me, oh yeah, you can boost your serotonin, you just need to follow this specific diet. That doesn't work for me because it starts to trigger all of my disordered eating habits, and I start to cut foods out and I start to count things, and it drives me back into being unhealthy. Whereas if I needed to take a supplement, I might just take a supplement and feel better, or I might just take a drug and feel better. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that as well. So I have a history of what is called dysthymia. I was diagnosed at 19. It's chronic low-grade depression. So it's not major depression. It's not the kind of depression where you get in bed and you can't get out of bed, although it can go there. It's basically like just a chronic low-grade depression. And I look at it as a chemical imbalance, just like that insulin. There's something in my brain that probably came, again, we've been talking a lot about generational patterns that we inherit. So this is a physical pattern that probably has an energetic component, just like everything else does. And it makes my brain not produce enough serotonin. So I've been on and off fluoxetine, which is Prozac, for parts of my life. Parts of my life I've taken nothing. And then parts of my life I've taken something called SAMe, which is a supplement. But I have no shame about any of that. And I want to say that because I know that there's somebody who's going to hear this and has been feeling shame about not being successful on their spiritual path or in their alternative health lifestyle because they're taking a drug. And here's the thing about spiritual practice. Do what works for you right now. That is the root of the spiritual practice. We're always trying to better ourselves. We're always trying to grow. But if I sit here and say, okay, well, maybe in 2 more years, I'll have this eating stuff worked out to the point where I can balance my diet and produce my serotonin that way. Where does that leave me right now? Does that leave me depressed and getting more depressed and not producing enough serotonin to the point where I need to go back on a drug instead of just taking the SAMe that I'm taking right now? Or does that leave me struggling? It does. It leaves me struggling. I don't know why I said or. I got a little too excited and sort of distracted myself. And this is a hard thing to talk about. And I'm a pretty open person. I know I get really vulnerable in these Wind Down Wednesdays, and I know I tell you a lot of personal details. And I do it because I know that some of you are struggling with, if not the same thing, similar things. And we should not be shamed for anything we do that makes us feel better, as long as it doesn't hurt anyone else. I will put that in there. I feel like that's implied. But so if you need to take a drug, you take a drug. If you need to see a psychiatrist, you see a psychiatrist. If you need to see a coach, you see a coach. If you see a good coach and they can't help you, they're going to tell you, I think maybe you need to have counseling, or maybe you should do both, or whatever it is. But taking care of yourself is the most important thing in whatever way that presents itself. And asking for help is a huge part of that. So that's the first part of what I wanted to say tonight. But here's a really important component of asking for help. And that is, we have to be open to receiving the help. So a lot of times it's hard to even ask for help. But then once we do, we have to be open to receive it. And now I'm talking about help in whatever form it comes. If I ask for spiritual help and then I'm not listening, I'm not going to get the help I asked for because I'm not open to receive that help. And it's the same thing on the physical plane. If I feel like I need to go on my supplement or I need to go back to see a doctor and I need to get on a drug, if I don't ask the doctor for that, I'm never going to receive it. And I think that so many of us have spent so many years giving and holding space that we don't know what it's like to receive anymore. And I'm going to tell a little story to illustrate that and talk a little bit more about that. So a few weeks ago, I went to a harmony circle. That's something that I'm in a women's group and we do this harmony circle. And it's been over a year. We used to do it in person. Now we do them virtually. And it's a way of really deeply connecting with another person. It involves eye gazing, which can be really vulnerable and uncomfortable. And then it involves singing this song that talks about compassion and understanding where the other person has been. And it's a very vulnerable thing to do. It's a very intimate thing to do. So I went to my virtual harmony circle about a month ago, actually, I guess now. It was a very small group. It was a very intimate group. And so because there were so few of us, we were able to do it more like we do it in person, where you know exactly who you're looking at. In the virtual setting, we kind of just pick somebody and the energy is still there and it's still powerful, but it's always a little bit more so when you and the person are connecting and you know that you're looking into each other's eyes. And I've been doing these for well over a year now, and I feel like I'm always receiving from them. But in this particular harmony circle, I felt something inside of me let go. This structure just melted. I'm going to talk a little bit more about what I mean by that. And all of a sudden I was really receiving. It's going to make me emotional just talking about it again, because it was so beautiful. Because normally I'm worried about the other person. Are they okay? Is this space safe? I'm holding this space. I've been doing this my entire life. And most of us have been. And especially if you're a woman, I mean, there's so many ways that we hold space. As children, if you had any kind of trauma in your background, you're holding space in your family, maybe just to survive physically or emotionally. Maybe you were holding space for your siblings. Maybe you were holding space for friends who were struggling growing up. And then if you're parenting, I mean, that's all parenting is holding space for your children, keeping them safe. So we spend so much time holding this space for other people. And I'm going to talk more about what I mean by that. But in this experience, I suddenly let go of that active need to keep holding space. And then all of a sudden, this huge release inside of me happened, and I was really receiving. And it was so powerful. It was so powerful. So energetically, what do I mean by holding space? I've written a little bit about this. I've talked a little bit about this. But I want to talk energetically what that means as far as physically. So sometimes I'll use the word physically because energy is physical. We can't see it, but there's a physical structure to energy. I can walk into a room, walk up to you and feel your energy. I can physically feel it with my hands, sometimes with my body, with my mind, with my emotions. So energy there's a physical thing. It's an actual physical matter. It's just not matter that we can see. So holding space energetically is actually building a structure. When I do a body work session, massage, energy work, Reiki, whatever it is that I'm doing, whether it's in person or it's virtually, I'm holding space for the other person. I'm creating the space in the physical room or in the room where they are through distance. I'm making it feel safe. I'm making sure that nothing else is coming into that room that I don't want there, so the person can feel like they're safe. So if they need to get vulnerable, they can feel vulnerable. When we do these Wind Down Wednesdays, I am creating space for this. We are creating space together. And a lot of people don't necessarily think in those terms, but this is something that most of us are doing all the time. And again, especially if you're a parent, you are creating and holding space constantly, and you're giving constantly. And that's an active practice. It's something you're doing. You're holding space. You're creating space. You're creating a sense of safety. So stepping back into the full receptivity, that's a passive practice. That's in Chinese medicine, that would be a yin practice. The active is the yang. Letting yourself step into that yin and really receiving is something that most of us don't do very often. And it's a learned practice, and it's kind of an art form. When I was in massage school, we were actually taught how to receive massage. And there's a way to receive massage. You know, you let the person move your limbs around. You don't help them, which most people don't know how to do, because we don't teach people how to receive massage unless you have a therapist who's taught you how to do that. And that is true in every realm. That's an example I used, but we don't learn how to receive. We learn how to give. And in this society, we give until we are beyond empty. We are giving all the time, energetically, emotionally, physically. We are just giving, giving, giving. And I think we lose access to that ability to step out of that for a minute and receive. When I was in that harmony circle, I didn't need to hold the space. There were other women there. We had created our space. That was a safe space. It was a beautiful space. And at that point, it's just a habit. It's a habit that you're sort of like, okay, I'm holding this space. And it's a protection. It's a defense mechanism as well. So it's like having a little bit of a wall up, right? And everybody has been hurt. Every single person on this planet has been hurt emotionally and probably physically, but I'm talking emotionally right now. And we all build up this emotional, this energetic, physical structure. We wall off our heart, we wall off our field. And then those of us who want to protect other people, we protect ourselves by creating a separation, and then we give to other people. But how do other people give to us if there's a structure in the way? How do we give to ourselves if we've walled off parts of ourselves and we can no longer receive? This is making me emotional again because it's so important. And I know this is universal. I know that I'm not the only person who feels this way. And I feel blessed that I had that experience where all of a sudden, it was a physical sensation. I felt this physical change in my body, and then all of a sudden I could receive. So what are we going to do tonight? I said it was going to be a gentle meditation, and it is. This is a hard topic. We're doing this like the third week in a row where I am talking about something that's difficult. It's difficult for me to talk about, as you can see by the way that I'm reacting as I'm talking. It's difficult to think about, but like anything else, it's a practice. This is a spiritual practice. Everything we do is a spiritual practice, whether we're aware of it or not, whether we're paying attention or not. It's a spiritual practice. So we can practice learning how to receive. And what we're going to do tonight is that we're going to do that in a safe space. We're going to go to our energetic sanctuary. We're going to go to our waterfall of joy. If you're not familiar with that, don't worry. I'll walk you through it. Some of you have been here and have done this exercise or these exercises before. And then we're going to explore those structures that we've built in ourselves. And we're going to just let them go, just temporarily in a really safe space, and let ourselves receive. Let ourselves receive from whoever shows up to give to us tonight. You can receive from your guide or anyone who shows up in your space, and you can receive directly from that source, that divine energy, that unconditional love. And really, that's what everything is. Underneath everything, even underneath fear, it's unconditional love. We just have forgotten how to find it. And we've lost our ability to connect with it because we've built up these structures. So let's tear down some walls. I'm ready. Every week, I'm never going to stop saying this, and I'm never going to stop needing to hear it. So I'm guessing that it's the same for you. Be gentle with yourself. This is hard work, but it doesn't have to be scary. We can do this in a joyful way. We can do this in a fun way. And if it gets to be too much, back off. If you need to get up and walk around, do that. If you need to stop and take a sip of water, if you want to yell at me and tell me that you hate my guts, I have absolutely thought that in yoga classes many times when I'm confronting some sort of resistance. Whatever comes up for you is what is meant to come up for you. Breathe through it. If you need to cry, cry. Just let things flow. And then we can let things go. Ooh, I like that. Maybe I'll make that into a meme. So get nice and comfortable. Sit up if you can, just so that you don't fall asleep. But if you prefer to lay down, that's fine. You can see me kind of shaking my body around as I often do. That's a really good way to discharge energy. So do a little whole body shake with me here, as much as you can in whatever position you're in. And then take a 3 of those deep oxytocin breaths. Breathe in through your nose, let your belly really come out, and then sigh them out with that audible ha sound. Vibrate that vagus nerve. Bring yourself into relaxation. And smile. Let yourself smile through this meditation if you can. Let yourself laugh at yourself. Sometimes when I'm getting really angry, I just start laughing. And that discharges energy just like crying does. Let's start by allowing that crown chakra, the top of the head, to gently open. And right off the bat, let's invite that unconditional love to come into our bodies. Let's open to receive that divine energy and allow it to flow in through the top of the head, through the jaw and the neck and the throat. Allowing this unconditional love to flow into the shoulders, into the arms, into the wrists and hands. Continue to breathe deeply as this energy flows into your chest and your upper back, into your abdomen, into your mid and low back. Allow this divine energy to flow into your hips and your pelvis. Let it slowly come down into your thighs and your knees. Invite this love into your lower legs, into your ankles and feet. And just affirm with me out loud, if you can, I am open to receive love. And as you're ready, if you're familiar with it, head to your energetic sanctuary. If it's new to you, then just picture the most beautiful place you can imagine. This is a special place that's made just for you. It's a completely safe space where you are completely in control. No one else can visit this space without your invitation. The energy in this space is completely yours and completely safe and completely loving. So bring this space to you. Stay in your body and bring your planet, your sanctuary, your beautiful, safe space into the room you're in. Bring it into your body tonight. Let yourself really feel that you're in this safe space. And from here, invite anyone who is here to help you this evening to come into your sanctuary with you. Maybe it's a guide, maybe it's a loved one, maybe it's just that pure divine energy. Whatever comes to you, let that happen. And greet this being with love. Spend a minute or two saying hello. And you may find that you don't see anything here. This may be more of a feeling. There may not be words, may not be like a conversation. You may just get images or sensations or feelings. But anything that happens, this person is here for your highest good. This person is here to keep you safe and to help you open to receive. And as you're ready, invite your person, your being, whatever it is, your energy, to come to your waterfall of joy. This is a special space in your sanctuary. This is a beautiful waterfall. Let this image come to you however it's meant to, and it will. And the water that flows from this waterfall is not actually water. This is divine joy. This is divine love. This is the substance we're here to receive tonight. And just come to your waterfall. We're not going to get in yet. We're going to do some preparations first, but notice what this looks like. Notice what it feels like here. Notice if your body is starting to release some tension that you've been holding on to. And keep your awareness in your body here. And notice these structures that you've built, these structures that hold space, that separate you from receiving. Perhaps you feel this in your heart space. Perhaps you feel this outside of your body as a wall. Perhaps you're getting an image. Whatever comes to you here is intuitively the right thing. And there's probably multiple structures. And what we're going to do is let all of them relax, let all of them release simultaneously. So there's no need to focus specifically on one area unless you're called to. This is kind of like a temporary dismantling. We're going to just let this structure completely go before we step into our waterfall, knowing that it will come back when we need it. When we're in a space where we need to have this structure, it will come to us. It's not something that we even need to actively do anymore. We don't need to create this space. We don't need to hold this space. We just need to relax and step into that receptivity, that passivity of allowing ourselves to receive, to be supported, to receive love. And as I'm saying these words, as you're thinking these thoughts, notice if these structures are relaxing. Encourage them to release all the way, but if they don't, that's okay. And if you can't feel any of this, use your intention. Use an image in your mind. Perhaps you've built a Lego castle and you've just kicked it over. Perhaps you're gently dismantling it, one brick at a time. Again, whatever comes to you here is correct. And if nothing's coming, then use your intention and the energy will follow. So take some deep breaths here and allow me to tone for you, to continue to guide you into this receptive state. And then we'll end by stepping into our waterfall. Notice again that you're in the safest possible state. You're in your own sanctuary, and you're held by not just your own energy, you're held by divine energy. You're held by the energy of your guides, of your ancestral line, of those who have come before you, of those who are practicing with you tonight, of my dog that's making noise on the dog bed. All of these things are holding your energy. They're holding your safety for you, and it's safe to release. It's safe to let go of your own holding because so many others are holding the space for you right now. Let yourself feel the relief of dropping some of this structure, of lowering some of your shields. And just before we step into our waterfall, consciously, intentionally open your heart space. You can imagine it unfolding like a beautiful flower to the sun, to that divine light. Let your heart open to receive in this safe space, in this loving space, and then enter this waterfall of joy, this beautiful water. It's the exact temperature you need. It's the exact pressure you need. You can feel the fine mist of this on your face. And let this energy flow directly into your heart center here. Let those structures completely release. And open yourself to receive divine light and unconditional love and joy and bliss, all of which is available to us when we can receive it, when we can allow ourselves to receive it, when we can open ourselves to receive it. Let yourself receive these gifts. Let yourself receive. Open and receive this love. Open and receive this love. Open and receive. Any remaining resistance, any remaining fear, let it be washed away in this waterfall of love and joy and light. Let go of your worries about what happens after this moment. Let go of the traumatic things that have happened in your past just for a few moments here. Let it all go and let yourself receive. Know that you can come back to this space at any time, that you can repeat this meditation at any time, that you can drop these shields and be safe at any time. You are ready to receive. You are worthy to receive. And affirm with me out loud, I am open to receive. I am worthy to receive. I freely receive the love that is offered to me. I allow myself to receive love in all ways, every day. And you can add any affirmations that come to you, say them out loud, and let that vibration come into our space. Let everyone practicing this with you support you. We're all holding these affirmations together. And as you're ready, very slowly begin to step out of your waterfall, back into your sanctuary. I encourage you to leave that structure in the waterfall as much as you can, knowing that it's available to you, but knowing that you no longer need it all of the time, that you can open and let that go and let yourself receive in safety and in love. Thank whoever was there to support you. Thank your guide. Thank that divine source of love. Any other beings that joined you, any loved ones. Thank those of you who are practicing this with you. And as you're ready, you can release your sanctuary, knowing that it's available to you at any time, and leaving as much of that structure as you feel comfortable or safe in that waterfall of joy. Leave at least a piece of it. It's okay to be afraid, but leave at least a piece of it behind in that waterfall where it's already been transformed into unconditional love. Bring yourself back into your own awareness. If you'd like, you can gently allow that crown chakra to close or leave it open with the intention that you're leaving it open for your highest good and your highest good alone. And one more time, receive that divine love and energy. Receive it in through the top of the head, in through your face and your jaw and your neck and throat. Receive that beautiful light and love down the arms and into your wrists and hands. Receive this love into your chest and your upper back, into your abdomen, your mid and low back, into your hips and your pelvis. receive this golden light, this unconditional divine love into your legs, all the way to your ankles and feet. Send it down into the earth, even to mingle with our physical energy of this physical plane, knowing that at the source we are all the same energy. Affirm with me, I am fully present in my body. I am fully present and open to receive in my body. I am fully present and I receive love at all times in my body. As you're ready, you can wiggle your fingers a little bit, maybe roll your wrists, roll your ankles, move your neck around, just slowly coming all the way back to yourself. And as you're ready, you can open your eyes. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Thank you for having the courage to open yourself to receive. It takes courage to do this work, but it can be done in this safe space, in this supported practice where someone is holding the space for you, where you're holding the space for someone else, but it becomes a receptive practice. Instead of an active holding, you recognize that the space itself can do the work for you, that the divine energy is that safety that we're all looking for, that we're building structures to try to create artificially. We don't need to do that because that energy of safety is always available to us if we're just open to receive it. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Receive a beautiful rest of your night. Receive a beautiful rest of your week. And I will see you next week for Wind Down Wednesday.